How is we going, Retro People? My name is Brad, this is Retro Saw Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of January 31st, 2017. Last week's tutorial was all about the Sega arcade system Naomi and Naomi 2. The tutorial is a bit complicated because we're pulling out the Naomi ROMs from a MAME 182 non-merged ROM set, which is also another big change currently with MAME that makes the ROM set double in size to 120 gigabytes total. However, non-merged is the most compatible and everything does work flawlessly. The tutorial will also work on a 181 and previous MAME ROM set, so either way you have no excuse for not playing some great Naomi games. In ROM hacking and translation news, this week we have a few ROM hacks that look pretty interesting. First up is the most simple ROM hack I have on this list, but it looks pretty cool, and that is Super Mario Bros on the NES Atarified. The graphics have been simplified down to an Atari level console if SMB were to have ever been released there. The ROM hack is nothing more than a curiosity piece, but it's pretty cool all the same. I almost want to ignore this ROM hack, but it's still pretty entertaining regardless. If you are adverse to memes and internet culture, however, you may want to skip this one. Or, if you eat this type of stuff up, here is Clovermon Hunter. Clovermon Hunter is a spin-off of a popular Pokemon ROM hack called Pokemon Clover, made by members of 4chan. Based on the action RPG Arkista's Ring, in this game you play as an antagonistic Edgy Eddie as he attempts to take out as many Clovermon as he possibly can. Make sure to grab power-ups when they appear, otherwise the later levels will drive you nuts. Shoot your way through 31 levels of toxic raptors, burning pumpkins, screaming penguins, and various other monstrosities, and then do it all over again another 3 times. Last but not least is an update ROM hack to an already updated and nearly perfect game, Final Fantasy Tactics. The game is over 20 years old and still extremely popular. It was popular enough to get an enhanced port to the PSP, and then was ported to Android and iOS. Now, in 2017, a professional board game designer takes a look back at the game to see what Final Fantasy Tactics could have been. What design choices emerge from hints left within the story, the art, the code? FFT Emergence is the result of this exploration. A quick overview of the changes. Each job has been tweaked, with some being completely redesigned. 30 new abilities have been created. Most equipment has received balance tweaks. Every storyline battle has been tweaked to give players a greater variety of enemies and a smoother difficulty curve, and much more. Taken in total, FFT Emergence is a new way to experience an old classic with a difficulty level similar to the original game. Any player can pick this up with confidence. The link to the patches are all below, and in those links are also more information on each patch. Double Dragon recently made its return with Double Dragon 4 on Steam and PS4. It's pretty exciting that we get a sequel to a series so old that originally came out on NES and SNES, and this looks to be much better than other outings like Double Dragon Neon. There's a full campaign that carries the stories on, returning duel mode, and an all-new tower mode. It looks and sounds great, so if you want an old favorite to return in beautiful 16:9 old school glory, then here you go. If there's no Bimmy reference though, I'm out. So a few weeks ago, I talked about the NES Classic getting hacked. Well, now it's fully hacked and obliterated. Again, forewarning, performing these hacks and exploits always has a chance of breaking your hardware, and Nintendo will not do anything to help you out. So like usual, proceed with caution, and if you're worried about breaking your NES Classic and potentially wasting $60, just stick with your cleaner emulation methods. Now, the NES Classic, with the hack modification of Hack G2, can now hold a full NES ROM set. Over 700 games. Granted, a lot of them kind of suck, but this has now become, with a little bit of work, the best officially released old school emulation hardware. Keep in mind, officially released, because anything Launchbox is put on is still better in my opinion. Obviously, duh. Anyways, the hack utilizes a nested folders type of system to put more into the UI and bring some order to the gigantic list. There is reported to be no errors, audio and video still works great, and you get your 4 save state slots. I am curious to know the full extent of the storage on this thing, but even if it was 4 or 8 gigabytes, you can fit an NES library and some save states into a fairly small amount of storage space. Hell, you could also fit the Game Boy and Game Boy Color library there as well. This is pretty cool, and going from 30 official games or 60 total games to over 700 in a few weeks is astounding and a great feat for the hackers involved. I hope to see what the limitations are for this machine in the long run, but I have a feeling there aren't many. I was afraid that compatibility would be low due to complex mappers, but it seems like Nintendo may have made a perfect emulation machine with great, if not perfect, compatibility. Only time will tell the limitations of this machine. Now it's time for Retro Remix Song of the Week, and this week's remix is entitled Raccoon Rhapsody, remixed by WillRock. The remix is based on Super Mario Bros 3 from the NES, and the songs used as a base are Athletic BGM and World 1 Map. The song mixes chiptunes and Sonic-styled FM funk. Check it out in the links below like usual. This month in 1998, Resident Evil 2's first release was set upon North America. Resident Evil 2, known in Japan as Biohazard 2, is a 1998 survival horror video game originally released for the PlayStation. Developed by Capcom as the second installment in the Resident Evil series, its story takes place 2 months after the events of the first game, Resident Evil. It is set in Raccoon City, an American community whose residents have been transformed into zombies by the T-Virus, a biological weapon developed by the pharmaceutical company Umbrella. The two protagonists, Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, encounter other survivors and are confronted by William Birkin, the mutated creator of the even more powerful weaponized pathogen called the G-Virus. The gameplay of Resident Evil 2 focuses on exploration, puzzle solving, combat, and features typical survival horror elements such as limited saves and ammunition. The game's main difference from its predecessor is the zapping system, which provides each player character with unique storylines and obstacles. Resident Evil 2 was directed by Hideki Kamiya, produced by Shinji Mikami, director of the first Resident Evil game, and developed by a team of 40 to 50 people over the course of 21 months. The initial version of the game, commonly referred to as Resident Evil 1.5, differed drastically from the released product and was scrapped at a development stage of 60 to 80% after being deemed dull and boring by the producer. The resulting redesign introduced different settings and a more cinematic story presentation, supported by a soundtrack that employs desperation as an underlying theme. Resident Evil 2 was widely acclaimed by critics, who praised its atmosphere, setting, graphics, and audio. Its controls, voice acting, and inventory system garnered some criticism, however, and certain reviewers disliked its puzzles. The game has become a million seller and is the franchise's most successful title on a single platform. Years after its release, Resident Evil 2 was included in several lists of the 100 best games. It is now widely considered to be one of the best video games ever made. Following its initial success on PlayStation, it was then re-released several times on PlayStation, but then it was ported to Windows, the Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, GameCube, and was even released as a modified 2.5D version for the Gamecom handheld. The story of Resident Evil 2 was retold and built upon in several later games, and has been adapted into a variety of licensed works. Capcom released a sequel in 1999, and a Resident Evil 2 remake was announced in August of 2015, and is currently in development. It has been confirmed that the remake will not be an HD remaster, but a full remake from the ground up. If you are a patron that pledged to be a part of our Patreon campaign and are watching this early, then thank you very much. For those of you who pledged to be at the producer level role, your names are now on screen. If you are interested in seeing your name as a part of RetroStyle Spotlight, the tutorials, and haven't been inside of the Launchbox app, then head on over to our Patreon link in the description below. At just $2 a month, you can see content like RSS early, and at higher tiers, you start to unlock things like exclusive Discord server access, producer credits, and a personal hangout with the Launchbox team. Any dollar amount anyone pledges to our campaign is helping us create a better product. So that was RetroStyle Spotlight for the week of January 31st, 2017. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a Launchbox Forum account, and if Launchbox is giving you a beautiful library of games, then why not purchase a premium license of Launchbox for $20 to access Big Box, which is a controller and couch-oriented version of Launchbox. The Launchbox Games database is available for any user to contribute to as well. Jason, Kirsten, and I, along with the rest of the team, have a lot planned for our community, so if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're doing a tutorial video every Friday, live developer sessions, Launchbox news, Q&As, and a ton more content in the future. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it in the comments below. My name is Brad, the link to my channel is also below, and remember, Freaks and Geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day!